Hi, I'm Steve Murphy, and this is the Insider Exclusive. Welcome to our show. Today we're featuring a special feature called the IRS and You. If you owe taxes and you haven't paid them, we have guests on our program that will show you how to deal effectively and solve your tax problems. Stay tuned.
The IRS is very intimidating. They're the most brutal collection agency on the planet. When they think you have their money, they will do whatever they can and go and violate the law, violate their own laws to try to collect that money.
Sooner or later, Uncle Sam catches up with you, don't they?
Absolutely.
And they caught up with you, right?
They did.
I'd say 50% of our clientele were people who were with another tax professional first and or try to do it on their own. It's like going to court without a lawyer. You will get creamed if you try to do this on your own.
I was getting ready to buy a house. And
Kind of screwed things up.
Yeah, and I thought, well, wait a minute, what's going to happen here? I lost a lot of sleep over it.
99% of our clients are like Rob. They're good people that bad things happen to. A lot of people don't read the return.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable how many people just sign on the dotted line.
What am I going to do? What am I going to do? The good thing to do, go see Michael Rosberg. Please, if you're in trouble, go see Michael Rosberg.
No, and you mean that, too.
Oh, absolutely.
This is a special show on the IRS and You where we help you solve some of your tax problems. And today we have with us Mike Rosbrook of Tax Resolution Services. Welcome to the show.
Pleasure, Steve.
You've done some fabulous work. We've had you on some other shows, and some of the topics that I've had a lot of calls on and questions about are explaining exactly what offers and compromise might be. What is that?
Offer and compromise is the closest thing to amnesty that the federal government offers.
Okay.
It's very close to what bankruptcy is to credit card, unsecured credit card debt, and offer and compromise is to taxes.
Give them a break.
Right.
Give the taxpayer
a fresh start. It's a formulaic-driven process where the IRS takes a look at the taxpayer's net equity in their assets and their monthly disposable income, and they figure if we can collect a lump sum today that is less than going after them and trying to collect for the next 5 or 10 years, we'll take a smaller amount today.
Mike, you sound like the IRS is a very sympathetic organization.
Oh, I don't mean to sound that way at all, because they're not.
Yeah, and I understand that they're going after taxpayers even greater today, aren't
Yeah,
they? With a vengeance, right?
Yeah, the pendulum has swung. It's no more the friendlier, gentler IRS that were under the Clinton years when when we had a surplus in the budget. Bush hasn't raised taxes in a long time, and the way he's trying to make up for the deficit now, which is $1.3 trillion, actually it's $900 billion, it was a swing of $1.3 trillion, is to go after the back taxes. They're much easier targets.
How much back taxes does the government estimate there is out there?
$345 billion is what they consider the tax gap.
Where do they get that number? I mean, a lot of that is underground wages, isn't it? Now, how can they determine, like illegal aliens, how can they determine where those people are, where do they come up with this number?
Well, they have, all kinds of guys crunching numbers at the government level, and they're coming up with these numbers. They're probably understated, if you ask me, because I see a lot of folks that live underground.
Later on in the show, we're going to have some people on here that you've actually helped, but there's one category of person that, and I know there's a lot of people out there, the underground society.
Yes.
Okay, the people that are paid on daily in cash, they're paid weekly in cash. What do you have to say to them? Is the IRS ever going to catch up with them?
Eventually, well, put it this way, the person will never have any property in his name.
Right.
He can't have an automobile in his or her name.
Because if he buys property, the IRS wants to know, where did he get the money for that?
Not only that, but they have an automatic lien that's going to attach to that property.
Right.
So it's not going to be their property at the end of the day.
I mean, this is a cautionary note, meaning this. If you have cash and you've earned it and you haven't paid taxes on it, you go out and buy a house. Does the IRS like scrolling down residences and properties and finding out who owns houses and seeing if they're paying taxes on them?
No, they don't do that. However, if the loan goes bad, if anyone who finances a house or buys a mortgage today signs what's called a 4506 form, which is a ticket for the mortgage company to get your back tax returns to see if you lied. And a lot of people lie when they get
Sure.
they have two sets of returns, one to give to the mortgage company and the ones that were actually filed. There's where the IRS can get you.
When you, we've talked a lot about civil cases. You
Yes.
must have some people that come to you that are in criminal problems.
Yes.
What do you do with them?
Well, we do have a couple of criminal cases going on right now. With
And you have lawyers on your staff, don't
yes,
you?
yes, we have
Criminal lawyers?
They're tax litigators. They're not
Okay.
criminal lawyers. If we feel that a case is way above our head, we will bring in a criminal attorney.
Okay.
But most of these cases are non-filers that the government has implemented criminal investigation cases on.
Okay.
What we do is we try to recreate the return,
Mm-hmm.
backing into what the income was based on the taxpayer's lifestyle, how much money they spend for food, groceries, rent, mortgage, tuition. So we back into the number and we present as accurate and complete a return as possible.
Does the IRS usually buy into your
Yes,
scenario?
yes, they do.
Because it's reasonable.
It's reasonable. Plus, we state, we attach a statement to the return that this return was prepared based on the best estimates by the taxpayer.
Right.
All original source documents have been lost or destroyed.
I'm just kind of curious, what is the case that stands out in your mind the most of a person who didn't file taxes over what period of time?
Well, we had independent contractor, a general contractor, was a carpenter who didn't file since 1979.
So that was what, almost 30 years?
Yes.
And what were you able to do for him?
We got them all filed up. We did an offering compromise. He owed close to $300,000, and we settled this case for about $15,000.
15,000. Wow. I mean, for everybody who's watching the show today, if you're one of these people, and there's plenty of people out there,
Yes.
right? You know, they live in fear, don't they?
Absolutely. The IRS is very intimidating. They're the most brutal collection agency on the planet. When they think you have their money, they will do whatever they can and go and violate the law, violate their own laws to try to collect that money.
What do you mean by violate their own laws?
They will issue invalid, unenforceable levies. But if
You're kidding me.
no, but if the layman doesn't know this, they're just going to pony up and pay what's supposed
So
to
in
be
other
paid.
words, they'll put a levy on your bank account.
Without going through the legal notification cycle.
But when the bank gets it, what do? They freeze your account. don't
Absolutely
they?
they do.
They don't know the difference.
Correct.
How do you know it's illegal?
What we do is we get what's called the certified mail log through a Freedom of Information Act request from
Right.
the government. And we check to see that the notices that were supposed to went out, and if they went out certified. If they don't go out certified, it's an unenforceable levy.
And that probably plays into not paying some penalties or fines or something like that because they were never notified.
Correct.
What percentage of levies would you say fall in that category?
It's a small percentage. It's not a large percentage, but we do see it happen.
Wow. What about, you were talking about the Freedom of Information Act. You use that a lot.
We use it almost in every collection case that we take
In other words,
on.
you're trying to find out if certain rules were followed.
Correct.
And whether people were notified properly and that sort of thing, right?
Yep.
Okay. A lot of people ask about collection appeals.
Yes.
What do you tell people about? Do you have people that go to other people who might want to help them, tax specialists, and they didn't do a good job, then they come to you?
I'd say 50% of our clientele were people who were with another tax professional first and or try to do it on their own.
And doing it on your own is foolish.
You're going to get creamed.
Yeah.
It's like going to court without a lawyer. You will get creamed if you try to do this on your own.
Of all the different things you do for people, what are the three most common categories of people that come into your office?
Filing delinquent returns, doing an offering compromise.
By themselves?
Oh, by themselves?
Oh, you do this for them?
We do this for them.
Okay.
Offering compromise, filing returns, and then analyzing the transcripts for the 10-year collection statute expiration date.
Okay. What does that mean?
Well, the IRS is barred by operation of law from collecting on a debt that's 10 years old or older from when the return was filed or when the assessment was made.
But I want to make this very clear. If you haven't filed your tax returns,
The statute's open.
statute's open,
Right.
meaning that they still can come after you.
Yes.
If you filed it and they haven't collected it for
Correct.
10 years.
You're home free.
Okay, let me answer this question. If a person owed money 10 years ago, let's say whatever, 1996, and they were paying on it, they had some payment term, when the 10 years ends, do they owe any more money?
No.
They don't.
As
Even
long
if
as
they haven't paid the whole
so
thing.
as long as they didn't sign a waiver extending the statute.
Okay.
They used to strong arm people in the 80s and 90s to
Yeah.
signing these waivers.
Now, tell us a little bit about Tax Resolution Services. I understand that it's managed and owned by 2 licensed CPAs, you and your partner, right?
Correct.
I understand you have like 45 people
Yes.
that work for you?
Yes, we have one office here in Los Angeles. All the work is done.
Where is it in LA, by the way?
It's in Encino.
Okay.
Encino, California.
And if you go to your website, which is www.taxresolution.com,
Yes.
you can get the exact address?
Yes.
I noticed in your website it said that you have no ex-IRS employees, okay? Now,
Yes.
usually the standard normal person might think, well, if you had an ex-IRS employee, they know what's going on. You know, they know what's going on. So why do you emphasize you don't have IRS employees, ex-IRS employees?
Over the years, we've hired a number of ex-IRS folks.
Yeah.
And our experience has been that they have a very difficult time making the mental transition from beating people over the head with a club and classifying them as tax cheats
Right.
into now helping them.
Right.
It's a difficult mental transition to make.
Well, what's their theory now? They're not getting paid by the government.
Well,
so-
they're getting a big pension. They're getting a large pension from the government. As an ex-IRS person, they're getting actually a huge pension from the government.
I want to emphasize also that just because you're here in Los Angeles, you represent people in all 50 states, don't
Right,
you?
we're allowed to practice and represent people in all 50 states.
And you have a toll-free number. I'm going to give it out. It's 866-477-7762 or
IRS problems,
Yeah.
866 IRS problems.
easy to remember. We are going to bring in some of your clients that you've helped.
Yes.
You know, and so they can tell a little bit of, because the most important thing is this, you know, when you see 2 businessmen talking on a show and they're talking about what you can do, you can't
Right.
do, it's nice to have the feel of a guy who's been there.
Let's walk
You
the
know?
walk.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we're going to do that right now. My first guest client is Rob Foley. Thanks for showing up.
Yes, ma'am.
And I want to emphasize that Rob is not an actor. Are you?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Rob is a client of Mike's, and Rob came to him with a problem, like everybody else.
Yep.
You ever have anybody that comes to you that just says hi?
No. No,
He
unfortunately,
likes
no.
people with problems, you know? But the bottom line is you had a problem because I understand that your tax preparer had screwed up and not prepared your taxes properly, right?
That's correct.
And you were notified by the government that you had to pay more money, right?
Yes, I was.
And you also, let's be real about this, you didn't really read everything that you signed on the thing, correct?
No, I didn't.
Because if you had read it, you would have realized that you didn't own a home and they were deducting interest on there. So that brings up another point. You got to read everything.
Yeah,
Any tax preparer that you go,
Exactly.
You know,
Because
and-
you're responsible for the figures on the return, and you're signing it under penalties of perjury.
Yeah.
So it's very important to make sure that what you're signing is what the truth is.
and like, tell us why that tax preparer probably lied on the tax return to begin with.
He probably lied because he probably had an arrangement with Rob where Rob was paying him a lot more to do the return, or a certain percentage of the refund that he promised him. That's probably why, or the arrangement that was going on.
Was that the case?
Yeah, actually, it was more money to pay for that than it was for
So
my
in other words, he
tax
said to
return.
you, if I can find a way you pay less taxes or get a bigger refund, you got to pay me more money. Is that right?
No, it was just a $395 fee, which was outrageous for what I had to, to sign
Yeah.
off, to write off and stuff. And it was just more expensive, but, word of mouth, I got more and more clients because clients were getting more and more money back.
Yeah. So you owed how much money? $32,000?
$32,000.
Well, tell us your feeling when you suddenly felt that, that you owed this money when you thought you didn't owe. You thought you were fair and square.
Actually, when that all happened, I was in the process of buying a house. I was getting ready to buy a house. And
Kind of
then-
screwed things out.
Yeah, and I thought, well, wait a minute, what's going to happen here? I lost a lot of sleep over it.
Did you feel duped? Like,
Yes.
Was
Because
the-
then I called this company up, hey, what are you guys going to do about it? Well, there's nothing we can do.
And that's what they told you.
Yes.
By
And
the
they
way,
said, call this person, and they never got a hold of anybody on a cell phone.
When you prepare someone's taxes, when you go to bat for them, you're there for them. You know,
Yes.
when they challenge whatever you are saying, you're there.
Yep.
Through the duration, correct?
Absolutely.
You kind of take this personally, don't you?
I do, because first of all, it's a great feeling to help people.
Yeah.
And if we feel that I mean, 99% of our clients are like Rob. They're good people that bad things happen to. A lot of people don't read the return.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unbelievable how many people just sign on the dotted line.
Hate to tell you, I don't read my return.
And
You trust a professional.
Yeah.
right, that's it. And the person isn't. I don't know if that person was a CPA or an EA. It was probably just a tax. You know, I got a shingle that says I'm a tax preparer.
How did you find them?
Through friends.
Yeah.
So my
They
friends
recommend
were all
them?
getting back great returns, and we all worked together. And you know, some people that I knew had gone to these guys, and word of mouth.
So you came to Mike. You were kind of scared, right?
Kind of scared because I went to another attorney before that, and they said, "You make too much money. We can't help you."
Is that right?
Yeah.
I've never heard that before.
Talk about being scared.
Yeah. So Mike helped you, and what did he do?
They worked out an offer and
Offer
compromise.
compromise.
Yeah, 4,800.
In an offer and a compromise, you made a proposition to the IRS.
Yep. Made an offer to them.
Yeah. Initially, though, the offer you made wasn't accepted, probably, right? Or was it?
I don't know if we went to appeal on your case, or did we get your offer accepted at the first shot?
No, it wasn't accepted the first. The first shot was an offer for 3,800.
Yeah.
And the IRS said, "Okay, we accept that, but attach an additional 1,000 to it."
Yeah.
So that's where the 4,800 came in.
The real question is, were you able to buy the house?
Well, I'm able to now. I'm
Okay,
still
good.
now. I'm looking.
Yeah, but see,
Before I
these
couldn't.
things screw people up,
Oh.
you know, big time.
IRS problems have a habit of ruining a lot more than
Right.
just tax problems in your life.
Right. Ruining
Peace
credit,
of mind,
everything.
credit, health,
Right.
stress.
Well, Rob, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you
It's a
very
real
much.
pleasure to have somebody who's real, you know, and they're talking about a problem. And Mike, you're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Steve. It's a pleasure being
Okay,
here. Thank you,
thank
Mike. Thank you for having me.
Sure.
And
All
thanks
right.
for what you've done for me.
Thank you.
Remember, these are real people. They're not actors. Dave Lopez, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And Dave, you have quite a story. 10 years not paying taxes?
10 years.
I want to emphasize you're current right now, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Everything is squared away because you went to Mike, right?
Yes.
What did Mike do for you?
Explained to him my situation and got a very good feeling the first 5 minutes. Mike said he'll do the best he can, and we've arranged a payment arrangement. Did everything he told me to do, and a few years later, we were able to resolve at a reasonable rate, and here I am.
What did you have to pay Mike to do this?
I don't really recall offhand.
Flat fee, right?
A flat fee. He gave me a flat fee, and he stuck to it to the T, even though it was a little bit more work than we thought it was going to be.
Fantastic. I'm glad you did what you did, and that's why we have this show, because we have real people. You're not an actor. Nobody's paying you, are they?
Nope.
You're a person that came forward because Mike really helped you out a lot, and that's the
He's
important thing.
Gone past what I've needed.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
And keep up the good work.
Sounds good.
And pay your taxes.
Thanks, Michael.
My next guest, who's also a client, Larry Gonzalez.
Hello, how
Thanks
you
for
doing?
being here. I want to emphasize to our audience that Larry came here voluntarily.
Yes, that's
And he came here, no kidding, because Mike did wonderful work for you, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And you know, we often hear this is the issue here: innocent spouse. You were an innocent spouse. We often hear of the wife being the innocent spouse, but believe it or not, you, the husband, is the innocent spouse because your ex-wife didn't pay the taxes, right?
That's correct.
Now we all have to be responsible for things, but
She
the
kept the
bottom line-
notices from him, too.
She kept the notices for you so you could find them later after she left, right?
Yes.
Well, that was very nice of her. Did
Oh,
you write her a
absolutely.
thank you note?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But the bottom line is, tell us a little bit about yourself. I understand you're a general contractor.
General contractor.
Okay,
and
life's pretty good.
life good.
Got a lot of work, doing
A lot
well.
of work. Things are going well. Still friends with Michael,
Yeah.
fortunately.
Boom, you get a letter in the mail, or
Yeah.
you find the letters in the garage, right? And these are the ones that saying you got to pay, you got to pay, you got to pay. What went through your mind?
I had no idea at the time. Probably, God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? You know, at that point.
Did any of those letters say we're going to levy your bank account?
Oh yeah, they already did too.
They already did.
Well, not at that point, but
Yeah.
it got to that point.
So that's bad news, isn't
It
it?
was-
Because you
it
got
was
people that
terrible.
work for you, don't you?
Right now, no.
I mean, at that time.
At the time, yes.
And you couldn't pay him if you can't.
It
Get
was
your
a bad,
money.
it was just a bad situation.
Nightmare, right?
A total nightmare.
So you went to Mike. What did Mike do? Did he, first of all, did he say to you, man, you got a lot of problems, I can't help you?
Actually, the first initial consultation was I felt very comfortable.
Yeah.
I explained to him my situation, He says, I think I can help you. Then we had another one. I brought in more paperwork, and we went from there, and it turned out beautiful.
The initial consultation was free, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, so he listened to your, and Mike, I want to ask you a question. Do you turn people down?
Yes.
You do?
Absolutely.
When do you usually turn them down?
Well, actually, we turn people away more than we actually take business on if they don't qualify. In other
Yeah.
words, some people come in and they own homes, they have equity,
Yeah.
they make a ton of money a month.
And there's no offer and compromise
No,
there.
there's no offer and
So in
compromise.
your situation, you didn't have a lot of assets. You owed somewhere in the neighborhood of about $50,000,
Yes.
didn't you? And what did Mike work out for you?
We've settled for pennies on the dollar, and I believe it took a little over a year, and life's beautiful. It's a good thing to do. Go see Michael Rosberg. Please, if you're in trouble, go see Michael Rosberg.
No, and you mean that, too.
Oh, absolutely.
By the way, we are taping this on a Saturday. It's a beautiful Saturday, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You know, you could be doing a lot more things than just being in the studio, right?
I appreciate
I'm
that.
here.
Why did you come here?
Because I'm here on behalf of Michael, because I know what he did for me, and I know what he's done for others. And that's why I'm here.
Okay, great. Well, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you.
And
Thank
good luck
you,
to
Larry.
Thank you, Mike. Mike, I got to hand it to you. You know, these people coming in here on their day off.
I appreciate it.
And saying really good things. Larry Gonzalez. You know,
Yes.
another case of innocent spouse.
Yep.
You know, let's face it. I mean, you know, we're all supposed to read things and, you know, watch out for ourselves. But in his case, you know, that same issue of trust.
Yeah,
right?
a lot of people trust their spouses to take care of business,
Yeah.
and a lot of them don't,
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
In this particular case, you were able to help them out
Yes,
tremendously.
yes.
Okay.
A lot of the innocent spouse cases that we do get, the scenario is a little different. A typical innocent spouse case, and I'll give an example. I had a woman come in the office. Her husband was a physician.
Mm-hmm.
They lived in a very modest home in Simi Valley. They had 4 children. He had a modest automobile, and he drops dead. Leaves a $972,000 tax bill.
I think I read about this.
Didn't pay taxes in years.
Yeah.
She never got the mail. He got the mail.
Okay.
He had a separate bank account in her name for her that he deposited money in each week for her to buy groceries and
Yeah.
take care of the kids.
Yeah.
Come to find out through discovery and investigation that he actually had another mansion in the Holmby Hills. Set up a mistress who drove around in a
Ugh.
Mercedes 500 SL. She
Is he
knew
in-
nothing about this.
Is he in hell now?
He's in hell now. Since she signed these returns with him as joint returns during
Yeah.
the marriage, she was on the hook for the $972,000 as well. Well, we were able to show that she knew nothing about this,
Wow.
had no knowledge to know anything about it, and we reduced her liability from $972 to $0.
Wow.
And she was a very happy camper.
Well, we need to get her on this show.
Yeah,
don't
we kind of lost
Oh, that's
touch with her.
fabulous. That's
Yes.
fabulous. You know, and it comes back to what you said before. You help people because you believe you can help them.
Yes.
You have the knowledge, and the IRS sometimes shoves people around. Not to, you know,
Yeah.
not to knock the IRS because we all need to pay taxes
Right.
for our government.
Right.
But the bottom line is, thank God for you.
Yeah, I mean, she didn't have the income to make this money and to have
Yeah.
this tax liability in the first place.
I'm going to bring in another one of your clients who's here voluntarily again, and we're going to go to that. My next guest and client of Mike's is Matt Cuenta. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
I want to
Matt.
emphasize with everybody else that's come on this show, this is a Saturday afternoon, a beautiful Saturday afternoon that we're recording this show. You came here voluntarily. You're not an actor.
That's right.
You had a problem with the IRS, and before we get into your problem with the IRS, tell our audience a little bit about, you know, yourself. I understand you're a personal trainer.
Yeah, at the time, actually, yes, I was,
Okay.
and also a private investigator.
Okay, and you had the philosophy, well, I'm not going to pay the IRS because I don't feel like it, right?
Well, you know, to be honest, that's pretty much.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people, but a lot of people have that. You know, they always have that.
Well-
To heck with the government. They don't. I don't believe in their policies. I don't care about the war in Iraq and all this other stuff. But sooner or later, Uncle Sam catches up with you, don't they?
Absolutely.
And they caught up with you, right?
They did.
And they wanted some small bit of change,
They
didn't they?
wanted $38,000.
$38,000,
Right.
and you decided you needed to do something about this, right?
Yeah.
Let me go back to
Definitely.
that day, $38,000. You know that they wanted from you. How were you sleeping at night? How are you sleeping?
Good question. Not well.
Not well?
Not well.
Now, Matt had a bunch of returns that we had to get filed up on them. We did like, I think, 4 or 5 years of returns.
Yeah.
And then we went ahead and did the offer and
So he
compromise.
came to you,
right.
you filed the returns, you've got a power of attorney, which you do for all your clients, and you told the IRS you're representing him.
Right, and
Now-
we go to them with a game plan.
Now, let me ask you, when you tell the IRS that you're going to represent someone, they have a different approach to you than they do to him. right?
Yes,
They already know who you are, don't they?
correct.
And you're dealing, most of your cases are right here in LA, right?
A lot of them, although recently
So
we're
you're dealing with the same people over and over again.
Yeah,
Is that a plus?
it depends. With the orphan compromise,
Yeah.
they've centralized everything.
Yeah.
They all go to Memphis, and they have folks working in Memphis working these offers. But we do come up against the same people time and time again.
How do we've talked about offer and compromise. In your particular case, that's what you got, right?
That's right.
38,000. You owed 38,000. You ended up paying. What did you end up paying?
$1,500.
$1,500. Whoa.
$1,500.
Yeah. So how do you come up with that number? How do you?
It's based
pull
on
it out of the air. Or
No,
what?
absolutely not. It's based on their formula. It's based on the IRS's formula, his net equity and assets,
Right.
and his monthly disposable income.
So they do have a formula.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yes.
And generally, you make an offer, and sometimes they accept.
Right.
It,
What Matt actually paid us for is to strategize with him,
Mm-hmm.
to pre-position him before the offer goes in, to ensure as much success as possible.
Yeah. I want to emphasize one thing. Once you retain him, the IRS can't bother him anymore.
Correct.
Right?
They don't talk to him. They still
And they don't
send him-
levy his account.
Correct.
They don't bother you at all because you're in the interview. So if you're listening to this and you got a problem, a pending disaster, Mike can ward off problems temporarily while we work on a solution, right?
Right. It's like, would you go to court without a lawyer? It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
Okay, Matt, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having
And
me.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate
bet.
it because, I'm doing this show for Mike.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm doing it is because I consider him one of the best tax resolution people in the country.
I agree. That's why I'm here, too.
Okay.
I want to help create an awareness that people like you are offer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.
You bet. Thank you, Mike.
Today, you've heard it all. You've had 3 clients that come in here voluntarily. They've spoken about Mike. They've spoken about his services. Mike, I want to thank you for being on the show.
Thank you, Steve. My pleasure.
And I want you to give out your phone number again because there's people out there that want to get in touch with you now. What is your phone number?
Phone number is toll-free,
Yes.
866-IRS-PROBLEMS, or 866-477-7762, and on the web at taxresolution.com. That's taxresolution.com.
And by the way, you can find other success stories on that
Yes.
website. And thank you again for being on the show.
Thank you, Steve.
Thanks for watching our show. We'll be back next week, and you can watch more of our shows at www.insiderexclusive.com. Thanks again.